Thank you for drying, not you, my hands, without causing sensory overload. Is it sensitivity? Are we just being extra sensitive? Or do we have a disorder, a sensory overload, dysphoria or something that is unbearable is the Greek word for dysphoria. Is that what's going on here? It's an odd noise. It's something that humans probably haven't experienced in the past before a few hundred years ago, but we have ears that are relatively adaptable, and we have auditory cortexes that are extremely complex and extremely adaptable to many different environments and different sounds. This can be an example where something like wonder therapy would be very effective. So at work, these are extremely loud. These things they're very powerful, and so that can bring me into a state of being overwhelmed and literally like seeing the skin on my hand flopping around. That can certainly be really weird and disturbing if I let it. Or it can be like engaging a wind tunnel or a cool science experiment with watching wind moving around an object like a car on a tunnel. It puts me in a state of wonder and awe at the fact that this is happening. This thing is moving millions of air molecules past my hand with such a force that it's able to move my skin, and it looks kind of funny when I see that. I can make different sounds with it. It doesn't just have to be like a giant wall of sound like it can be something that I can manipulate. This can be like the experience I have when I stick my hand out the window and move it like an airplane wing, directing my hand with the resistance of the air. It's finding ways to be entertained and curious about a situation as opposed to beholden to it. In this demonstration, the aerodynamics work such that as the air passes between my fingers, it pushes my hand to remain in a steady position. How cool! Whoa, what a cool sound I'm making here. Wow, another cool sound. Oh wow, you can actually see the frame rate of my camera syncing up with the rate of the flaps of my skin in the wind, similar to what happens to helicopter blades and wheels. Whoa. Wow, it really seems that wonder and awe stand as bastions against depression and overstimulation. I guess we really can call this wonder therapy. The point I want to emphasize here is that I'm now able to come up with strategies like this in the moment. Now, this is not a boastful claim. I'm basically saying that I've trained myself to remain curious, essentially reestablishing my childlike sense of wonder and awe. And I found my training in cognitive behavioral therapy to be most beneficial in moments like this. A problem-solving, solution-focused mindset allows the brain to kind of lean towards finding solutions in the moment like this. Additionally, I want to encourage the power of knowledge and curiosity in these moments. By retaining my interest in aerodynamics and fluid dynamics, I can kind of play in this knowledge realm. The desire to use my hand as an airplane or make cool sounds out of the originally loud and erratic sounds of the hand dryer, this comes from my prior knowledge of being able to do so, and my genuine curiosity in learning new ways to interact with the world. One could say that the active mind is rarely depressed and rarely overwhelmed. It's more engaged in the world. And as Ernest Becker put it, we can also experience an undergoing mind, which would be more easily swayed by noises like this. I know this is kind of summarizing a lot, and talking like this can sound ableist or getting one thrown into the conservative bootstrap puller category, if you will. But this is kind of what my hundreds of hours of training in various therapies have come to result in. This is what I'm coming to realize, is that very often it does boil down to these two camps of either being in a state of undergoing and the world is kind of on my shoulders and I am beholden to the experiences that I'm undergoing, or I'm able to still be very sensitive and and you want to be sensitive to the world. You don't want to be numb to the world, but you do want to be able to initially experience the sensory, not overload, but sensory stimulation, and direct that mindfully. So when we talk about the idea of, not to get too far into this, but we talk about the idea of emotional resilience and all these categories, emotional granularity, all that starts to sound ableist too, but this is essentially what we're going for. It's not a toughing it out or becoming resilient. It's more like I'm finding a mindful way to be at one with my senses and emotions. Maybe this won't work, but you don't know until you've really tried. And another conclusion one can come to is that you can't try enough. There's never enough opportunities and never enough experiments that you can run in all of the wild different situations that you can encounter in life for you to really know that you are deficient or depressed or a highly sensitive person, as the term came out in the 90s describes it. You can't ever really know that other than by assumption. And so the best way to try to come into alignment with this way of thinking, or with our extra sensitive selves, is to go into more gentle and more safe experiments like the one I'm demonstrating here. I hope this made sense, y'all. Thanks so much for bearing with me, and I hope that we can have more open-minded conversations like this in the future. Thanks for watching Polymaths. Feel free to subscribe and share this if you feel it's been beneficial.